Alright, hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing part 2 of the Algebra Regents from August of 2025. Alright, 25, it says solve this equation algebraically. So we have 1/6 times 4x plus 12 equal to 9. What you can do first is distribute. But what I like to do first is get rid of that fraction because the fraction is being multiplied to an entire like x parentheses. So I think it'll be a little bit easier. I just multiply by the reciprocal, which is 6/1. So this is equal to 54, and then this is 4x plus 12. If I subtract 12 on both sides, I get 4x is equal to 42. So x is gonna equal to 42/5, which is equal, 42/4, which is equal to 10.5. Or this is equal to 21/2 if you want to simplify the fraction. Okay, all right. So now 26 is the sum of 3√2 and 5 rational, irrational. Explain your answer. So let's see this. 3√2, is this rational or irrational? So what does it mean for number to be rational or irrational? If it's rational, you can express it as a quotient of two integers. If it's not rational, you can't. So 3 times square root of 2. Square root of 2 is irrational. Square root of 2 is irrational. So if I multiply by a rational number, aka 3, then 3√2 is still not rational. So this is irrational. And 5 is a rational number. 5 is a counting number, it's an integer. So it's rational. The sum of an irrational number and a rational number is irrational. So that would be the explanation and stuff. Okay, graph h of x equal to absolute value of x minus 2 over the domain from -4 to x to from -4 to 4 basically. All right, this one is going to be kind of like, it's not going to be too complicated. So if it's an absolute value function, we're going to expect something like this. It's going to like look like a diagonal. So you can kind of like test it out, graph some points. Here it's going to start out at 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's plug in h of -4. So this is going to be -4 minus 2, which is equal to absolute value of -6, which is equal to 6. So at -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're gonna have a point here, and it's gonna keep going down like this until it reaches 0. And if you plug in 2, you'll get that this will h of x will equal to 0, and then it's gonna go up for a little bit until you reach here. What you can do is just graph this function on a calculator, but just keep in mind of the domain. We want it to be within -4 to 4. Okay, all right. A survey is given to 180 cell phone owners about the brand of phone they own. The results show that 59 adults owned brand B and 32 teenagers owned brand A. Of all the people surveyed, 40% own brand A. Complete the two-way frequency table below. Okay, so we do know that 59 adults owned brand B. So this goes here. And then 32 teenagers own brand A. So this will go here. And then we know that 40% of people own brand A. Okay, so how should we solve this? Let me think. Okay, so 180. So well, we know that 180 is the total, so this gotta go here. 40% of people own brand A. So we're gonna find 40% of 180. So So this is going to be equal to 180 times 0.4, which is equal to, let me bust out my calculator. Don't want to mess this up in my head. This is 72, so that means the total number of people is 72. And then here I can find whatever goes here. I can just do 72 minus 32, which is equal to 40. And then I can find the total for B. 40 plus 59 is 99. And then I can find like the total of teenagers by doing 180 minus 99. This is 81. And then I can solve for the teenagers who own brand B by 81 minus 32, 49. And then the last one, you can just do 59 plus 49, which is 108. Okay, that's it. All right, determine the eighth term of a geometric sequence. So this is a geometric sequence whose first term is 5 and whose common ratio is 3. All right, so here's the formula. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. I believe this formula is given to you on the reference table, which is right here. We have a geometric sequence. So we have that there. Here, we're looking for the eighth term. We're looking for a sub n, a sub 8, which is equal to a sub 1 times r to the 8 minus 1. What's my a sub 1? The first term is 5, so that's my a sub 1. So 5 times r, the common ratio, is 3, and then 8 minus 1 is 7. Now plug that into a calculator. It should be a somewhat big number. You'll get 10,935. Or what you could have done is just kept multiplying it by, kept multiplying 5 by 3 like 8 times. Or whenever you get to the 8th term and check your answer, but that's a lot of work. So why would you do that? Anyways, okay. Using the method of completing this, completing the square, express x squared plus 14x minus 28 equal to 0 in the form of x minus p squared equals q. All right, so we're gonna complete the square. First step, I always like to move the constant over. So x squared plus 14x minus 28 is equal to 0. I'm going to add 28 on both sides. And I get x squared plus 14x is equal to 28. And now I'm going to add something to both sides that's going to complete the square. You know what I'm going to look at? I'm going to look at the 14. I'm going to add b over 2 squared. So 14 over 2 squared, which is equal to 7 squared, which is equal to 49. So I'm going to add 49 on both sides. My left-hand side is going to equal to 77. And then now this is going to, since we completed the square, it's going to be a, when we factor, we're going to get a binomial squared. So this is actually going to be x plus 7 squared. Where does the 7 come from? 7 is b over 2. I just take half of 14. And that's kind of like something that you can do, or you can factor it normally and you'll get x plus 7 squared. And this is in the form that they ask us in the question. Okay, part 2. Graph f of x is equal to negative 1/3 x squared plus 4 on the set of axes below. So here we have an x squared. This is going to be a parabola. So it's going to look, I would just recommend getting you like a couple of points and do that. Plug in the function on the calculator and get yourself a table of values. Plus 4, so maybe I should do, let's start with -6. -6 comma -8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then I'm gonna go by integer values. -3 comma 1. 1, 2, 3. 1. And then 0, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 3, 1. Okay, you should see, since we have a parabola here, this should have some sort of symmetry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And boom. And then now connect them, but make sure it looks like a parabola. So have some curve to it. And yeah, see the vertex? The vertex is going to be right here. and we kind of see it. So it's going to be 0, comma 4. And the axis of symmetry is always going to be the x coordinate of the vertex. So it's going to be x equals, because we have an equation, x equals 0. We're looking at the x coordinate of the vertex, and that gives us the axis of symmetry. Okay. Vince wants to rent a canoe while he's on vacation. The canoe rental company charges $18 for the first hours and $7.50 for each additional hour X. If Vince has $78 to spend on renting a canoe, write an equality in terms of like that models this equation. So let's first model the cost. So the initial cost, like the flat like fee, is $18 for the first hour, and then plus for every additional hour is going to cost $7.50. It's going to be 7.5x. And that has to be less than or equal to the amount of money that he has. So less than or equal to 78. And then now, let's solve the maximum number of hours that Vince... So algebraically determine the maximum number of hours that Vince could rent a canoe. So we're going to just solve this inequality. It's less than or equal to 78. So then this would be 75x is less than or equal to 60. And x, I'm going to divide both sides by 7.5. I get 8. So this is 8 additional hours. So this would mean 9 total hours. So make sure you read the problem. Okay, on the graph the following system of inequalities on the set of axes below. So let's first graph the first inequality, and it's gonna be y is greater than or equal to. So that means I'm gonna graph I'm gonna shape above the line, -1/2 x minus 3. So I'm gonna first do it's gonna be -3, 1, 2, 3, and that's gonna be -1/2. So I'm gonna go down 1 over by 2, down 1 over by 2, down 1 over by 2. And we go like this. So that's going to give me my first one. And is this a dotted line or a filled in line? Well, it's greater than or equal to, so I'm going to have a filled in line. Let me pull out my ruler. You should have a straight edge for this test. So we're just going to graph it like this. It's going to be a filled in line because we have greater than or equal to. Now we have the second equation. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put into y equals mx plus b form, so that's a little bit easier for us. So it's going to be 2x plus 5 if I add 2x on both sides. So again, I'm going to start by graphing the y-intercept, which is going to be 5 in this case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then the slope is 2, so I'm going to go up 2 and then over by 1, up 2 over by 1. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Now, in this case, we do not have a greater than or equal to. We actually have just... well, we don't have like an equal to, we just have a less than. So this is going to be a dotted line, and let's go down. And go something like this. Okay. All right. So for the first one, since I have greater than, I'm going to shade above the line. So for my first equation, this should be shaded. And then now for the second one, since this y is less than, I'm going to shape below the line. So it's going to look something like this. And then the space with the intersection, this is going to be my solution, S. And yeah. State the coordinate of a point that is in this that is a solution. Let's just give, so it's just any point in the region, and you can just say like 0, 0, because it's in region S. You can use your graph as a justification. You can just say that it's in region S, which is where the two inequalities intersect. Okay, using the quadratic formula, solve this equation. So here, express your answer in simplest radical form. All right, so we have x squared minus 6x plus 3 equals 0. So when we have the quadratic formula, x is equal to negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. My a is going to be equal to 1. That's my leading coefficient. b is equal to -6, and c is equal to 3. So x is equal to -b, which is -6, plus or minus b squared, which is -6 squared, minus 4a, which is 1, and then c, which is 3, all over 2 times a, which is 1. So this is equal to 6 plus or minus 36 minus 12 all over 2, which is equal to 6 plus or minus square root of 24 all over 2. This is equal to 6 plus or minus, I think we can split this up into 4 and 6, so 2 root 6. So then this would be 2 root 6 over 2, which is equal to 3 plus or minus root 6. All right, make sure you have the plus or minus. Okay, part 4, I think this is like the last question. Cameron sold hot dogs and soda at a concession stand. He sold a total of 25 items for $45. A hot dog sold for $2.25, and a soda sold for $1.50. All prices include tax. If X represents the number of hot dogs sold and Y represents the number of sodas sold, write a system of equations that model the situation. So when we have these cost type of question, what we're gonna have to do is we have to write two equations. One is relating to cost and one is relating to the quantity. So for the cost, a hot dog costs $2.25. So I'm gonna do $2.25 times X, because if I sold X number of hot dogs, to find how much I made from hot dogs, I would do 2.25 times X. And then it's gonna be, by the same reasoning, I'm gonna do plus 1.5Y. And then now since we're doing the cost, he sold it for a total of $45. And then now the quantity, X plus Y, the number of hot dogs plus the number of sodas, is gonna equal to 25. That's the quantity. And then now algebraically determine the number of hot dogs Cameron sold and the number of soda he sold. So for solving this type of system, what I would recommend you to do is I think it would be easiest to use substitution. So I'm gonna solve X by itself. X is gonna equal to 25 minus Y. If I move Y over, so that means 2.25 times 25 minus Y plus 1.5Y is equal to 45. 2.25 times 25 is equal to 56.25 minus 2.25y plus 1.5y is equal to 45. 56.25, so negative 2.25 plus 1.5 is equal to 0.75y, and that's equal to 45. Ooh, running out of space here. And then I'm going to subtract 56.25 on both sides. So negative 0.75y is equal to negative 11.25. Y is equal to, if I divide both sides by negative 0.75, I get 15. So the number of hot dogs is 15. So that's the number of hot dogs. Not the number of hot dogs. Y is the number of sodas. And then for the hot dog, I'm going to plug it back into the easier equation, the second equation, to solve. So x plus y is equal to 25. X plus 15. So we know that y is 15 is equal to 25. So x is equal to 10. This is the hot dogs. Okay. A customer has $20 to spend at a concession stand. Determine and state the maximum number of hot dogs he can purchase if he buys 4 sodas. So hot dogs is going to be x, so 2.25x. And then you can do plus 4 sodas. So 4 times the price of soda, which is 1.5. And it has to be less than or equal to 20. So 2.25x plus 6 has to be less than 20. 2.25x has to be less than or equal to 14. So x has to be less than or equal to 6.222. Repeating, so the maximum number is 6 hot dogs. All right, because you can't go above 6. You have to round down, and you can't buy like, I don't think any place would sell you like 0.2, like 2 of a hot dog. So 6. All right, hope this helps.